Okay, we're on our first lesson. We're going to go back and review just a bit. There are several tenses in Greek, and there's two tenses that kind of dominate. Most of your verbs will be one of these two tenses. However, there are other tenses other than these. But we have the present tense, and then there's a past tense called the aorist, A-O-R-I-S-T. We'll get to that later. Now, the present indicative active, we need to kind of throw away what we've learned from English to a large extent, because the Greek present tense in the indicative mood, now indicative mood is a statement of a fact. In the indicative mood, it has time, but time is kind of incidental. It's not a big factor in it. The nature of the Greek verb is the kind of action, K-I-N-D, the kind of action. And the present tense has durative or continuous or linear action. And so its action is continuing or durative. It has a duration. It can be what's called iterative, that is repeating at certain intervals. But that still has the durative concept in it. Now let's look at our basic verbs. Your basic verb will have a stem. In this case, we have the letters lu. I'll highlight it. That's your stem. But what we get here is we have the stem all the way through, and I'll move my mouse over. You can see the stem all the way. Then we change the ending on it, and this ending in this case is an omega. This omega, at one time in earlier Greek, I'm told, was a pronoun. This would be the first person pronoun. And this is loose I, would be kind of literal, or I loose, L-O-O-S-E, or I am loosing, or I do loose. Again, the Greek present tense could follow through in any one of those three forms in English. So he talks about it earlier, so we won't go back through that. All they do is change the ending on the stem to make it first, second, or third person. We don't do that in English, so this is a new concept if you haven't studied other languages. So what we have here, the first one was luo, and that is I loose. We come down to the second one, we have luace. And so we have two syllables, lu, and then ace. The epsilon iota is a diphthong, gets the EI sound as in rein, like a rein on a horse, or the reign of a king, R-E-I-G-N. So this is luace, two syllables. Each diphthong or each vowel gets a syllable. So we have a vowel, lu, and then we have another diphthong, epsilon iota, lue, lue. And this is he or she or it. And we don't know whether it's he, she, or it because it doesn't have gender. Whether it's a masculine, feminine, or neuter has to be derived from the context. Sometimes the context does not answer it for us. So we are left on our own. Sometimes we can't tell. But it gives you the person and the number. In this case, now we have luomen. So this has three syllables. And I'll move my mouse around. We have lu, that's your first syllable, o, and then men, luomen. Now the omen ending is first person plural. So that's your first person plural present indicative active. Active voice. The subject is doing the action. So that is we lose, first person plural. Now then we have lu, et, three syllables, lu et. So we'd have lu et, luete, is you, and good Southern English would be you all, or y'all loose, or you are loosing, or you do loose. Okay? And then they'll change the last four letters again to make it third person plural. Lu-u-si, three syllables, lu-u-si, lu-u-si. And so they loose. We won't do the infinitive down here. Well, let's give the infinitive, and we're going to do some practicing on some other stuff in just a minute. There's your stem, lu, and then a diphthong, that is epsilon iota. So it's two syllables, luane, luane. Any questions? So that will make an infinitive out of it. Now it's an active voice infinitive. It's present tense, so it's durative or continuous action. Right? Now the infinitive doesn't have a person. It has to derive it from its context. We'll get into the infinitives a little bit more, a little bit later. We'll deal with them more. We come down here now. The basic word luo is used throughout the book, and most Greek books do this. It's very convenient to use as a pattern. So our stem here is lu, and then they just change the endings. So we come down here to our endings down here. Luo, lues, lue, put my mouse down. Lue, luomen, luete, luusi, luusi. And that will be all four of your forms. You've conjugated the verb. Any questions or comments? So this is our pattern now. So we're going to take this pattern and we're going to go down here. We're going to take this vocabulary words that we had last week and take our words. One of the things they ask us to do down here, so I'll show you what they ask us to do. Practice saying aloud the conjugations of the other verbs in the above vocabulary. So we're going to take them, these verbs in that vocabulary, we're going to go through all of them. We've already done luo, so we won't do it. All right. This is ago, ago. Your stem is ag, alpha, gamma, ago, ago. Notice the accent is on the alpha, ago. And now we would make it second person. Our basic form is agase, agase. Put the epsilon iota sigma on the end where the omega is. Replace that omega with the ace, epsilon iota sigma, agase, agase. Now then, if we wanted to make this third person, it would be age, age. That's your pattern. If we want to make it, that'd be third person singular. He, she, or it leads. Now, again, you'd have to derive whether it's he, she, or it from the context. Now then, let's make it the first person plural. Agomen, agomen, agomen. And so we have omen ending. And this next, that's first person plural. We lead. We would change the ending to ete, agete. That would be you all plural, you plural lead. Now then, so we could change that omega into an usi, agusi, agusi. That would make it third person plural. They lead, they lead. Any questions? All right, let's take the next one. And again, there's your basic stem, aku, and our word acoustics comes from this, acoustical or acoustics, akuo. Now then, we have three syllables, so I'm going to move my mouse around and you can see it. Alpha, kappa, aku, and we ku. The omicron upsilon is a diphthong, so it just gets one syllable. Akuo. So there's three syllables, akuo, and the emphasis is on that u because the marker is on it. So we're going to take the omega off to make it second person singular. We would make it Ace. We'd make it third person singular, a. That would be third person singular. And that's he, she, or it hears. Okay? Now, we can make it first person plural, acuete. That would make it first person plural. We just change the omega into an ete, epsilon, tau, epsilon. Acuusi, that will make it third person plural. Everyone seeing how the pattern works. I'm going to go through every one of these verbs and let you hear them, and let you hear the pronunciation of them. So we can do that. Balo, I throw, I cast, I thrust something. Our English word ball came from it. Ballistics came from it. And so, like a football or a baseball. So something thrown. Balo. So we have actually two syllables. Now, remember the rule, we would break it between the two lambdas, balo. That's how we would break it. We would put the two lambdas together, the two L sounds, balo. Now then, if you want to make it second person singular, it'd be balace. If you want to make it third person singular, that would be, second person would be you throw, or you cast or thrust. Balace would be third person singular, he, she, or it throws or casts. We change the omega into an ete, and it would be balete. That would be we throw. Balusi. Baloman would be we throw. Balete would be you throw, plural. Balusi would be they throw or cast or thrust. The word blepo is I see. Now, some of these verbs are irregular, like our go, went, and gone in English is irregular. The form doesn't fit. And so we do have some irregular forms. Blepo, I believe, is irregular in some of the other tenses, but it's regular in this present tense. Blepo, two syllables. You got two vowels, epsilon and omega. Blepo. We want to make it second person singular, lepes. Make it third person singular, blepe. Drop the sigma off. To make it first person plural, blepomen. That omen is the first person plural, we see. And the second person plural would be blepete, you all or you plural see. Now there's more than one Greek word for seeing, and so we can get into the subtleties of the differences of it, but we'll not do that at this point. Blepete, you all plural see. Lepusi, the usi ending is the third person plural. They see. Any questions? Gnosko. Three syllables. Got a vowel, an iota, an omega, and another omega. So each vowel gets unless it's in a diphthong, gets a syllable. Gnosko. And so that'd be I know, or I realize, or I learn. This is more of an elementary type knowledge, however. Gnosko. What we have now is going to make it second person singular, gnoskes. Third person singular, gnoske. First person plural, gnoskomen. Replace the omega with an omen, omicron nu, epsilon nu. Gnoskete would be you all plural, you plural, no. Gnoskusi is they know, they learn, they realize. I'm not going to go down to the column, we have to take the page, so I'll go to the second column to work over here. Grapho, our word graphics or graph comes from this. And geography is the study of the graphing of the writing of the earth. Okay. Now, what we have here is grapho. Second, that's first person singular. I write. I draw or write. What we have then is we make it graphes is you write, singular. If we make it graphe, he, she, or it writes. We want to make it first person plural, graphomen, we write. Graphete, you all plural write. Graphusi, they write. Everyone seeing the pattern. Now we have a delta epsilon. This is not a verb for us, okay? It's conjunction. We'll get it to it. It's translated but and. There's more than one word translated and in Greek. There's subtleties and differences in them, which really helps us a bunch. This next word here is it's actually a pronoun, ego. And our word ego comes from it. This is the word I. When the word ego is used throughout the New Testament, it's always emphatic. It's always emphatic. Come down to the next word here, and I want to make a comment about it. You look above the upsilon, and an upsilon is a diphthong, U, but it has that rough breathing mark. Hugh, put a little H sound on the beginning of it. Eurisco. And so it's 3 syllables, Eurisco. And our English word eureka, I found it. It comes from this word, Eurisco. And euriscase, that is, you find it, singular. Eurisque, he, she, or it finds it, or finds it. Euriscomen, we find it. Euriscete, you all find it, you plural. Euriscusi, they find it. They find, not it. I've added the word it in there, but it's not there in the original. They find, right? Here's another verb, and he has a lot of verbs, and it's just a few other words, pronouns, and some conjunctions mostly. So we have, most of these words are actually either, most of them are verbs. Echo. And my little memory hook I use to remember this is, if you get an echo, you get the sound back, you have it back. So it's the word I have, I hold, or I get. Echo, ekes, you have, or you get, or hold. Ekes, he, she, or it has, or gets, or holds. Ekomen, we hold, we have. And ekete, you all plural have, or get, or hold. And ekusi, that would be they have, or hold, or get. Okay. Now, now we talked about this a little bit last week. Thelo. And so that is, I wish, I have a will to do something. There's 2 Greek words that for will, and that's thelo and boulomai. We'll get to those 2 words later, but they have a subtle difference in them, and they're used together in several instances. And people miss the point in the passage because of it. Right? So, thelo, theles, second person, you will or wish. Theles, he, she, or it wills or wishes. Thelomen, we wish. Thelete, you all plural wish or will. And thelet Lucy is they wish or they will. Okay. Now then, here is a noun, and so let's break it up. So we have iota, and it's a capital iota, it's the name Jesus, and an eta, but that's not a diphthong. And then we have the u, omicron upsilon, that is a diphthong. So there's 3 syllables in this name. E-A-sus. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. That's how you pronounce it. That's Jesus. And it's from the Hebrew word, which means to be a savior. Okay. As I call his name Jesus, for he shall save his people from their sins. In chapter 1 of, I think around verse 15 of Matthew. Jesus. It's the same name as the word Joshua. Okay. Joshua. Okay. Now, we'll get to nouns. I think the very next lesson we'll get to nouns. Some words that are from other languages are not fully declined. We'll see that later. Here's another word that's translated and, kai. And alpha iota is a diphthong, so it's kai. That's just the word and. We had another word for and, but or and that was day earlier. There's a subtle difference in them. We'll get into that a little bit later, not tonight. We will go into the differences. Right? Kai and day are found repeatedly in the New Testament. I would almost guarantee you won't find 2 pages in a row in the New Testament, Greek New Testament, don't have both of these words on them. It'll be rare that you find 2 pages in a row that don't have them. They're almost on every page in the New Testament. So once you learn these words, you'll learn a fair percent of the New Testament. So the words that we have here are used over and over again. Lambano, that's the next word. It's got 3 syllables, lambano, lambano. That's I take or I receive. I argue that it's to take when it's active voice, and it's receive when it's passive voice. That would be the argument that I would make on this. So now let's conjugate it. Lambano, I take, I receive. Lambanes, you take, singular, or receive. Lambane, he, she, or it takes or receives. Lambane, omen, we take or receive. Lambanete, you, plural, take or receive. Lambanusi, they take or receive. We've already done luo, so we won't go back through it again. Here's another word that's not a verb. This is the word oo. Oo. Word is the word not or no. Sometimes translated no, you know. And there are 2 Greek words for not to deny something. This one always goes with the indicative mood. And the indicative mood is a statement of a fact. So this negation here denies a fact. For example, I would hold this up in my hand. It's the remote for the projector. And I would hold it up and say, this is not an alligator. And you could, if you were in the classroom, you could see it's not an alligator. And so I'm denying the fact that someone might claim it's an alligator. And so basically, oo denies a fact. It says something is not true. Okay. The other word for not is mu'eda, may, and it goes with commandments and things. It deals more with the will of the mind of the person. Okay. But we'll get into those differences later. But you'll see this something is not true. It denies the fact. Now we have the next word, sozo, two omega, so it has 2 syllables. Sozo, zeta. The zeta, your teeth, it's a dental. Your teeth almost vibrate when you say it. Sozo. I save, it's also I heal. And so it's translated both those ways. There's another word, therapeuo, is to heal as well. And there's subtle differences in the words. Sozo, we'll get to therapeuo later. Sozo is found, I save or I heal. So sozo, I save. Sozes, you save or heal. Soze, he, she, or it saves or heals. Sozomen, we save or heal. So zete, you, all plural, save or heal. So zusi, they save or heal. Okay. Now, any questions so far? Have this next, our last word here, it's a verb also, lego, 2 syllables. And this word is to speak or say or tell. There are several different Greek words for speaking or saying. Like in English, we have to speak, we have to say, we have to tell. Those are different words. And there's subtle differences in those words in our English language. So it's just so it is here. This word lego is derived from to collect things, to make a collection of things. And I like to use the illustration here. Let me collect my thoughts and tell you what I have to say or think. It goes with the word logos. In John 1 and following, Jesus is called the word logos. And this is the noun form of this word right here, lego. And I think Jesus is a summation of all that is deity. And I think that's probably implied by the use of the word logos for Jesus, but that's just my view. Okay, lego, legase, you speak or say or tell. Legusi, I'm sorry, lege, he, she, or it speaks or says. Legomen, we speak or say or tell. Legete, you all speak, say or tell. Legusi, they speak, say or tell. Okay. Now, you go over here to the end of it, right over here, you'll see this ology, L-O-G-Y. Usually it has a vowel in front of it. On that file, it would be an English O, ology. Biology, psychology, sociology, and so forth. The ology ending is the word that comes from logos, which is the collected thoughts on the matter. The word of God is the collected thoughts of God on man's salvation. And that's how I view it. God's telling us all we need to know to be saved in his Bible. And so that just by the usage of the word logos for it, he's, I think, implying that it's complete. Of course, other passages explicitly tell us it's complete. So the biology is the collected thoughts of the knowledge, collected knowledge of bios, of life. And so the psychology would be the collected thoughts on the soul of man, the mind of man. Now then, what we've done is we've practiced saying aloud the conjugation of the other verbs in the above vocabulary. You've heard them now. Do you have any questions? Anybody? Okay. We've gone about 30 minutes on this. Now, what I did is I gave you an assignment to do last week. Did everyone get this?
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you getting it, Karen? Are you?
Okay. Jesus, tele, sozain. Sozain. Jesus, tele, sozain. Now, someone translate that for me. Jesus is who?
Jesus desires to save.
Jesus desires to save. And so Jesus desires. And so what kind of action? What the desire is what can you say about his desire from this verb? Is it a momentary desire?
Ongoing.
Fades away, or is it something that maybe continues?
Continuous.
It continues. So this says Jesus desires and continues to desire. And so Zane is what part of speech?
Present tense.
Present tense what? Is it a verb? Or?
Infinitive. Indicative. First. Third person.
It's an infinitive, isn't it?
Oh,
he desires to save. Okay? And the infinitive could express a purpose or a result. Probably a result here. In English, it could as well. So, I went to town to shop. The purpose of going to town was to shop. Okay? And so Jesus desires to save. This could be a result or a purpose, depending on how you looked at it. Okay? Any questions about that? Let's try the next one. And again, remember this dot above, it looks like a period, it's upset up to the top a little bit. That right there is like a semicolon or a comma. So, Jesus lege. Let's go on. We got more than a sentence. Let's just take that part right now, though. Jesus lege.
Jesus says.
Jesus, he says, would be literal. We
Right.
translated Jesus says. That would be correct. We wouldn't translate in English, he says, but that's literally what it says. Jesus, he says. Very good. Now, let's add to it, because this completes our sentence.
But I hear.
Jesus lege ego de akuo. Okay? Jesus says, and what?
But I hear.
I don't hear.
But I hear. But I hear. Now, here we got something that's different. We don't have anything like it in English. Some words are post-positive. And this is what we can learn. Let me go up a bit. We'll go back up here and find that word. That's what they mean. Tell us it is post-positive. Right here, let me highlight it. It has a position as post, which means after, and so it's after the beginning. So we come down here, let's do it again now. Let's see how this works. We do have post-positive words, right? So this is Jesus lege ego de akuo. Jesus says, or speaks, and it could be but I hear or and I hear. So the they would be moved in thought before the ego.
Okay. Yeah.
But I hear, or and I hear. Okay. We'll have to see the subtle difference between Kai and they a little bit later. It might be better translated and I hear, but it could be but I hear. So Jesus speaks and I hear. And I hear. Okay? Does that make sense? Jesus lege ego de akuo. Jesus speaks and I hear. Okay? Now, I told you ego, when it's there, is emphatic. So we might render this to show the emphasis. Jesus speaks, but I hear. Might add that to it. Because the verb akuo has the word I built into it at the end. Literally translated, Jesus speaks, but I hear. You'd have I twice. But we don't translate it that way in English. Okay? Any questions? The I is emphatic. So he's emphasizing, I'm listening, I hear. All right, any questions? All right. Let's go over to the next one. Akues u de genoskes. Akues u de genoskes. All right. Now then, remember the o ace a, omen ete usi ending. We have o ace, this is ace, that's second person singular. So that's who?
You.
You
You hear.
singular. You singular, right? Everyone see that? In English, we can't tell. The King James Bible and the American Standard does sometimes have singular and plural in there. And I think in the King James and American Standard, you is always plural and ye is plural. And thee, thou, and thine will be your singular. So if you can take your King James Bible, you can figure out singular and plural with that. Okay? Any questions? Akues, you hear, but we got oo after. What does oo do? Look up above on your screen.
Not.
Okay. You do not hear. But no, the oo always goes before what it negates.
Yes.
It doesn't go after it. So we don't say you do not hear.
You hear.
You
not.
hear, and then the day is postpositive and goes before the oo. But you what?
No, not.
You do not know, or you know not. See, the oo always goes before what it negates. It doesn't go after it. It doesn't follow it. That's the rule. Okay? The negation. You hear, but you do not know. You don't understand. Now, gnoskos, this is gnoskes, oas, omen, oas, oasa, omen etiusi. This is second person singular. But you do not know. And gnosko is more elementary knowledge. So you hear, but you don't even have elementary knowledge. Epignoskes would be you have, and that would be more full knowledge, fuller knowledge, deeper knowledge, more thorough knowledge. Okay? So you hear, but you do not know, you don't understand. Okay? Any questions? All right. We got two words making a sentence. Fellow genoskane. Fellow genoskane. And so we have fellow, that will be first person singular. I will, and the ain ending, epsilon iota nu ending of genoskane is an infinitive. That's your infinitive. So I wish, I desire what? Someone help me.
To know.
No.
I desire to know. I desire, I have the will to know. Here's another short sentence. Kuusi kai genoskusi. Kuusi kai genoskusi. Right? The usi ending is o-asa, omen eti usi. That's third person plural. So that's from akuo. So what's the first word then?
They hear.
They hear. Kai and genoskusi. They what?
They know.
They know, and they know. Kai joins things that are of equal status or equal rank. And so hearing and knowing are equal in this sense. Repent and be baptized, and Kai. Those two are equal status or equal rank. Believe and be baptized. He believeth and is baptized. Mark 16. And Kai. Belief and baptism are equal in that form. Okay, any questions? Feel of how it works? Maybe, I hope. A kuomen, kai, blepomen. Now the omen in you, o-a-s-a, omen ete usi. Those you just kind of get it in a rhythm. O-a-s-a, omen ete usi. And omen is first person plural. A kuomen, therefore, is what?
It would be the same.
We hear and we see Lepomen. We hear and we see. Again, Kai joins them equal ranks. All right? Any questions? This iota on the Kai over here should have a diacritical marking on it. I'll put it on. We're down to about 5 minutes. What we'll do is we'll go as far as we can. When the bell rings, we'll stop, and we'll pick up and finish this next week. Okay. Lepe, blepe, ude, gnoske. Lepe, ude, gnoske. So blepe is what?
He sees.
He sees. That's third person singular, or she sees, or it sees. That's the context I have to tell you. Ude gnoske.
That does not know.
Remember, the U denies what follows it, not before it. He sees, but he what?
Knows not.
He knows not, does not know. Knows not, or does not know. Got it? Any questions? Lepe, ude, gnoske. Okay. U, tele, akue. Now, the U goes before tele, so it denies tele. Tele is from telo, oas, a, third person singular, tele, akue. U, tele, akue. So what do you have?
Does not desire to hear.
He does not desire to hear. Some people don't want to listen to the truth. All right? I think they stopped their ears with Stephen, I think, didn't they? In Acts 7, I think they did. Stop their ears. Like little children, I think little children put their fingers in their ears so they can't hear. I always think of them that way. And it's a sad thing that they did, that they didn't listen and heed what he preached. Okay? I'm sad for him, not at all happy about it. The next one is akuete kai lambanete. All right, but notice there's a semicolon at the end. What does that semicolon indicate? What punctuation in Greek is a semicolon, an English semicolon?
Question.
It's a question mark, that's correct. So this should be a question, or at least translated as a question. Now, sometimes we have to go by context, and sometimes there are keywords that'll tell us it's a question. And sometimes it's a contextual problem, and so there could even change the meaning of a passage. Kuete ka lambanete. Omen et oase, omen ete usi, second person plural. So a kuete is what? Kuete.
We hear.
You plural here,
You plural.
kai and lambanete. You take or receive. Now, lambano is a self-prompted taking. So they hear and they take it. They take hold of it, see? So that's probably what that will imply. Self-prompted taking. We might get it finished. If I hadn't gotten off so much, we would have. Thelomen, genoskein, kai lambanein. Thelomen, genoskein, kai lambanein. So right here, the omen. Oase, omen et usi. Thelomen, genoskein, kai lambanein. What's the omen ending? What person and number?
We
First
wish.
plural. First person plural.
First person plural, omen
Right.
et usi. Okay. And so that's we what?
Wish.
Wish to know.
We wish to know and kai, to receive or take. Right. All right, we're almost. We'll finish the last two sentences next week, Lord willing. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.